Good evening. My name is Phil Bryan. I am a, just extend that a little bit. I'm a senior associate with Todd Williams and Billie Tsien. I've been with them for approximately 14 years, and I'd just like to reiterate, Todd and Billie would have loved to have been here, but fortunately they just needed to be in Hong Kong for a project that we're just finishing up after 10 long years. So this evening I just wanted to first start out with speaking about our studio. This is a shot of our office, which is in New York. We're right on Central Park South, just south of Central Park. We're a studio of about 32 architects, 2 support personnel, and of course Todd and Billie. We're relatively flat. Todd and Billie run the studio and everyone else pitches in. This shot on the left shows it's a relatively open studio. We really modeled it on the same concept of how we learned about architecture in school. An open space that's collaborative, that emphasizes cooperation and communication. I guess the 3 C's, if you will. Todd and Billie's desk actually is right there in the front. They're typically there 7 days a week, but in this particular frame they're not. The office is a bit of a mess. We like a little bit of a mess. And then on the right, that's a shot of the entire studio, enjoying perhaps a few too many bottles of wine, but enjoying each other's company nevertheless. The notion that we all love to do architecture and frankly love to be with each other is really important to the spirit of the studio, and it's something that Todd and Billie really emphasize. When Todd and Billie and I sat down basically last week to craft this presentation, I think like many other architects will be presenting before you, but before me and after me, we tried to emphasize certain themes that are present in all of our work and that we think resonate in particular with the Kimbell Art Center, and then give you a sense for some of those projects and how they manifested themselves. We are interested in work that bridges art and architecture, and to that extent we've collaborated with many artists, many curators throughout the years. One of Todd and Billie's early projects was for the Elisa Monte Dance Company in New York. This is a project in the mid-'80s in which we collaborated with the dance company to create a theatrical screen that was actually movable, that enabled them to divide up the stage, project the dancers' images against the screen, and also screen the dancers at various times. We also designed the outfits for the performance, and in this way we were able to both physically and metaphorically expand the impact of the performance. At one point during the performance, the movable screen actually cantilevered straight off of the stage to really kind of assert the power of the dance. Here is a traveling exhibition by the Isamu Noguchi Museum that we did in the early 90s. This was to highlight Isamu Noguchi's Akari light sculptures, and it was a traveling exhibition where we worked very closely with the institution to create a modular and flexible screening system that really represented the same qualities that were present in the Akari light sculptures and could respond to dynamic spaces as the show traveled throughout the United States. What you see on the right-hand side is this sort of central spine that allowed you to experience the light sculptures in a totality, but the screens enabled us to divide the exhibit up and allow the visitors to experience the light sculptures as individual pieces as well. And then in Turin, in 2006 for the Olympics, which is apt for Park City, we collaborated with the artist Karsten Haller on a hillside that was adjacent to the town in the main Olympic events, in which, not to overcomplicate it, we basically made a sled hill with a rather spectacular view, because sometimes you just gotta have a little fun. Moving right along, we believe in making buildings that are welcoming, that are durable, that are dignified and beautiful. We really seek to try and balance a sense of energy and a sense of calm, yet still recognizing that all buildings have different lives over the course of a day and even over the course of a year. The Kimbell Art Center is going to be that type of building. Probably one of the best examples, and it's a very recent building for us, is I guess it's called the Rubenstein Atrium, and it's called a privately owned public space, which is not unlike Zuccotti Park, where the current Occupy Wall Street protests are going on. I understand that you guys now have your own Occupy protests going on here as well. But we basically took what had really been an abandoned atrium space that was really in poor shape, Lincoln Center, offered to renovate it. And what we've created is an informal performance space across the street from the Lincoln Center campus. It allows them, as you see in the lower left image, where they have a corporate sponsorship evening called Target Thursdays, where they have performances. We have projection that enables them to have different screenings, as well as displaying information about Lincoln Center's main campus. There's ticketing. There's a wonderful sandwich shop on the right-hand side called Witchcraft. And given its proximity to the park, we also sought to try and bring the landscape into the space. It tends to change the humidity, the sound quality, and frankly, it makes you breathe differently. This has been an extremely successful space for Lincoln Center for us. It's been open for approximately 16 months, and 500,000 people have crossed its threshold. We've worked with a variety of educational institutions, and the Kimbell is an institution we would love the opportunity to work with. We really have competed with, excuse me, my timer, I just want to make sure my time's good. We've competed with a variety of projects, large and small. The first I'd like to speak about is the Manhattan Student Art Center at Johns Hopkins University. This is literally the front door to Johns Hopkins' historic campus. The building was initiated after a student, unfortunately, was a victim of a violent crime. And the university wanted to create, a symbol of a new beginning for the campus and for the university in this location. The building is a multidisciplinary art center. It encompasses dance, computer technology, painting, music, and it's all situated around a public space where the students and the public alike can mix and create informal performance spaces. The next project at a very, very different scale, operating under very, very tight budgets, is for the Robin Hood Foundation, which is a nonprofit in New York that raises private money to go into the public schools in New York and renovate or create library spaces. These are typically in schools that have historically either not had a library due to funding issues or frankly haven't had what you would really want to call a library. And so by introducing dynamic large-scale sculptural spaces, creating private and public spaces for teaching and collaboration with the students, and in some cases exposing students to the internet and technology for the first time. Sustainability is and always has been a part of good design. We really do integrate it into our process, and we try to create solutions that are both inventive but are also grounded in the program of the building. Probably the most explicit example is the Cranbrook Mandatory in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. It's a competitive swimming pool located on a very, very steeply sloping site, and we've been able to create a completely naturally ventilated space. These large, in the image on the right, you can see these very, very large 60-foot diameter oculi have doors that open. The walls are covered in, shouldn't say covered, are punctured by 20-foot high hydraulic doors that equalize the openings. And one of the most wonderful things that you see is in the winter, the Cranbrook swimming team at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, or whatever god-awful hour they go swimming at, they tend to open the doors of the oculi and let the snow trickle in through the oculi, which is pretty much the coolest thing I've ever seen. We've worked on a number of museums, ranging from non-collecting branch at the Whitney Museum to a very fixed collection at the Barnes Foundation, which is the project I'm currently running. As we understand the needs of exhibition spaces, we're also looking to invent new ways of looking at art, and we really hope that we can find a way to balance the flexibility that the Kimbell wants with the ability to create unique situations for art here in Park City. The Whitney Museum was basically, this was a downtown branch that was in the basement of a corporate office tower. It was a pretty crummy space, but what we were able to do was create, in a very small footprint, dynamic different levels that enabled you to experience and view the art at different distances and at different elevations. The American Folk Art Museum, similarly, a 40-foot by 100-foot site, very, very tight footprint in Midtown Manhattan. The square footage of this building is actually almost exactly the same as the Kimbell Art Center's new goal. We've created a building that is simultaneously extremely intimate relative to the art, but also spatially and visually very generous, thanks to our ability to work with different sectional qualities, opening up the space, having these diagonal vistas. And then at the Phoenix Art Museum, which was a repeat client for us, which is always a tremendous honor, they sought to represent the museum's entrance to the public after acquiring a site north of the building where they were going to be adding a parking lot. It's located along a very, very busy thoroughfare, and so we were able to create an entry sequence that had a contemplative garden that calmed you before you were about to enter the museum, and a lobby space that is for ticketing, it's for the display of art, it's for events, and then a contemporary art gallery, a very flexible contemporary art gallery that again played with this issue of viewing and experiencing art at different distances. I'll just move past the Barnes Foundation, because I'm running out of time now, and Skirkanich Hall, and conclude by saying the Kimbell Arts Center would be a tremendously exciting project for us. When asked, why do we want to do this project? We want to work for people who are passionate about what they do. We want to work on problems that are challenging, and frankly, we want to work in a place where we want to be, and Park City is where we'd like to be. So, thank you very much.